Imagine it, dozens of black children vanishing in a city known for its culture, music, and resilience. No Amber Alerts, no wall-to-wall media coverage, just silence and fear. Between 1979 and 1981, Atlanta was gripped by a nightmare. More than 28 young African-American children and teens were murdered yet to this day. The full truth remains buried beneath layers of politics, racism, and unanswered questions. Why were their stories ignored for so long? And why does it seem America has all but erased this tragedy from its memory? The city was being called the Black Mecca, a place where African Americans were climbing the economic ladder faster than anywhere else in the South. Atlanta's first black mayor, Maynard Jackson, had been elected in 1973, a beacon of change in a still racially tense America. But beneath the glow of progress lay deep poverty. Segregated neighborhoods and a police department stretched thin. Crack cocaine hadn't yet taken hold, but unemployment, gang activity, and housing insecurity were rising. And somewhere in the shadows, a predator was watching. It started small, or so it seemed. In July 1979, Edward Hope Smith, known as Teddy, and Alfred Evans, both just 14, disappeared. Days later, their bodies were found, shot and strangled, dumped in a wooded area. Police dismissed the idea of a serial killer. The local press barely covered it. Then came the others: Jeffrey Mathis, 10 years old; Eric Middlebrooks, 14; Angel Lanier, only 12. One by one, they vanished. One by one, their bodies turned up in rivers, on roadsides, deep in the woods. Still, the national media remained quiet. By 1980, parents in predominantly black neighborhoods were terrified. Children were being escorted to school in groups. Churches held vigils. Flyers with missing children's faces were plastered on every telephone pole. Community leader Camille Bell, whose own son Yusuf was murdered, formed the committee to stop children's murders. She accused the police and FBI of moving too slowly. Because the victims were black, as Bell said in an interview, if these were white children from wealthy suburbs, the world would have stopped until someone was caught. Finally, the FBI stepped in. Roadblocks were set up. Curfews were imposed. Undercover officers patrolled school routes. Yet even as the city was locked down, the murders continued. Some children were found strangled with rope or electrical cord. Others were beaten. Some were too decomposed for the cause of death to be certain. The killer, or killers, seemed to vanish into thin air. In May 1981, police heard a splash in the Chattahoochee River while staking out bridges. Suspicious. Car sped away. The driver was Wayne Williams, a 23-year-old black music promoter. 2 days later, the body of Nathaniel Cater was found downstream. Another body, Jimmy Ray Payne, had been discovered earlier in the same river. Williams was arrested and eventually convicted, not for the murders of the children, but for the killings of these 2 adult men. Authorities later attributed at least 22 of the child murders to him. Without bringing formal charges for most of them, case closed. Or was it? From the very start, there were doubts. Many victims were killed in ways that didn't match the evidence in Williams's case. Some community members believed more than one person was responsible. Others suspected the involvement of white supremacist groups active in Georgia at the time. A 2010 CNN documentary revealed FBI files suggesting the Ku Klux Klan had been investigated. But that evidence was sealed, reportedly to avoid racial unrest. Camille Bell and other families insisted. Williams was a scapegoat, convenient for a city desperate to move on. Perhaps the most haunting part of this story isn't just the killings. It's how quickly they faded from public memory. In American classrooms, the Atlanta child murders are barely mentioned, if at all. In documentaries about U.S. serial killers, you'll hear about Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, but not the 28 black children of Atlanta. Why? Was it because the victims were poor and black, from neighborhoods deemed undesirable by the media? Was it because America didn't want to confront the racial double standard in how missing children are treated? In 2019, Atlanta's mayor reopened the investigation. New DNA technology could shed light on old evidence. Families hoped for closure, but as of today, most of the families still have no answers. Wayne Williams maintains his innocence, saying he was framed. The debate over whether he acted alone or at all continues. The children's names, though, are not forgotten by their loved ones. Teddy Smith, Alfred Evans, Angel Lanier, Yusuf Bell, and so many more. Asterisk, the story of the Atlanta child murders isn't just about crime. It's about whose lives America values and whose it doesn't. It's about how a city's image was protected over its most vulnerable citizens. And it's about the haunting reality that when history is not told, it can be repeated. We owe it to those children to speak their names, to demand their stories be taught, to ensure their memory lives far beyond the headlines they never got, because forgotten history is repeated history.